Welcome to Kerr 9000's Horror House.
So I came across Wyrmwood, Road of the Dead on Amazon Prime. Basically, I wanted something to kill an hour or two, so I logged into Prime to have a look and see if anything looked good. I had read nothing about this film other than the little blurb wrote on Prime itself while I was flicking through the movies. The great thing with these subscription services is that you pay whatever amount it is per month and that covers you for the films you watch. Bearing in mind, last time I found myself in a rental shop, they wanted £2 a film if the film was made within the last sort of 3 years. So that means you only have to watch a few semi-recent films here and there to make something like Prime worthwhile. So I sat down to Wyrmwood with an attitude of, watching this is not really going to cost me anything, and if it sucks I can turn it off at any second with no sense of buyer's remorse or real cash wasted. The very second it delivers less than I want, I can turn it off. Now this is somewhat of a double-edged sword for films, because it means that you might take a chance on something you otherwise wouldn't have had, if you were having to buy it or physically rent it, but it also means you don't feel any need to push yourself past a boring intro, or see if a dull film gets better later on. You can instead shut it off the second it's not registering with your expectations and move on to something else. So how far did I get through Wyrmwood? I got to the very end, and not only that, I'd certainly see myself watching it again. Will you like Wyrmwood as much as I did? Well, do you like exploitation films featuring apocalypses like the original Mad Max films? If so, stick with me and answer the next question. Do you like zombies and zombie films? In simple terms, what we have here is the illegitimate love child of Mad Max and Dawn of the Dead. This is something I thought when watching it, and then as soon as I'd finished and I looked up more info on the film, I noticed this was a comparison the makers had made themselves, to the extent that they'd actually put it on posters and other promotional material for the movie. This doesn't mean it is without its own ideas though. I'd say more, but I don't want to spoil them. So I'll lay out some of the plot, but I'm purposely going to drop off mid-film and leave you to watch it if you desire to after watching this YouTube video. A mechanic called Barry, who is the central character of the film, lives in the Australian outback with his wife and daughter. Barry's sister is attacked in a garage photo studio by her model and her assistant, who have suddenly become zombies. She handles herself well and manages to get up in the rafters of the building. She calls Barry and warns him to get himself and his family out of the city. So Barry, his wife and daughter all put on gas masks and fight their way to the family car. Unfortunately, his family members turn and Barry is forced to kill them. Chalker, another survivor, finds Barry and tries to talk to him, but all Barry is interested in is trying to get Chalker's gun so he can kill himself. Chalker knocks Barry out, and when Barry comes round, he asks Chalker to take him to his sister's studio. During this time, however, a military unit has taken his sister captive in the back of a truck that serves as a mobile lab for a strange, overly eccentric scientist. Chalker's truck stops working, leaving him and Barry to continue on foot. Benny, another survivor, mistakenly kills Chalker. At this point, after apologising and offering Barry his shotgun, Benny and Barry team up and come upon a garage staffed by Frank and his assistant. Frank explains that all flammable liquids have become useless and that this will be why Chalker's truck stopped working. The garage is surrounded by zombies, so this is when it becomes time to strap on every piece of armour they can find, from shoulder pads to crash helmets and hockey masks, and get ready to take on the zombies. I was very surprised to learn that this was the feature film directorial debut of its director, Roache-Turner. It seemed so good and well directed to me that this really blew me back, especially when you factor in its $160,000 budget. It does have a very Mad Max feel to it, and I think if you like either the Mad Max films or zombie movies, then you should really give this film a crack. I'm now about to say something which I know would get me shot in some places, but I actually found this movie more enjoyable than the latest Mad Max Fury Road. It was less serious, less up its own arse, and more focused on fun. I know that some people seem to love Fury Road, and they're basically saying it's the greatest thing ever, while others see it as some kind of feminazi propaganda. But personally, I just saw it as a big explosion festival that showed you lots and explained very little, leaving you to take minor grunts and looks as if they were the deepest of character development. People would argue that it provided you a world full of ideas to think about and make flesh in your own mind, but then the same can be said about Wyrmwood, which itself provides a whole world of possibilities while also actually explaining more. Yeah, it leaves enough blanks to let your mind run wild with speculation, but it doesn't leave you to basically create half the story of the film. Thanks Fury Road for those hours you wasted. Wyrmwood was originally supposed to have a one-night-only theatrical release in Australia, opening on 74 screens, but due to an overwhelming response and lots of sold-out sessions across the country, its run was extended for weeks in some cinemas. This is a film which, through its quality and its fans' enjoyment, managed to push itself rather than being pushed along by a ridiculously high promotional budget. I think this alone tells you why you need to see this film. It's a great little film, made with a lot of heart, even if it didn't have a lot of money, and it's well worth checking out. Okay, so that leaves me to say, keep on watching those scary movies, boys and ghouls.